Hello everybody, it is Mike Levin on Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. I thought I'd shoot this video to address a question that comes up on my YouTube comments, and it is why learn to code if the age of coding is over? If machine learning, artificial intelligence, what have you, collaborative design, predictive functions are going to cybernetic predictive functions. So these are not closed systems. They interact with, quote, organic systems. So it has a lot more data. I guess the presumption is the word cybernetics is being used with machine learning a lot on the presumption that you have a lot of input data. I guess it's referring to your sample data, your test data, your training set stuff, and your ongoing input, because it becomes a feedback loop of continuous learning. So if systems like that are on the way, where you can say, make a program that does this, or make a design that has that, particularly in design and, going through iterations of designs for like aerodynamic properties, this stuff is going to be, spellcasting miraculous. If that stuff is on its way, why learn to code Python today? Why learn to code at all today? Well, there's a lot of answers to that, but the short one is those who are waiting for machine learning, artificial intelligence systems to spare them the work of coding are waiting for their parents so that, machine parents can do yet another thing for them in their lives. So how many of us top off at some level of emotional, intellectual, spiritual, what have you, maturity, because we don't have to take it any further? Examples that come to mind is cleaning up after yourself. If you have a mother or some other caretaker who's always cleaned up after you all your life, and then say you go into another situation where you don't have to clean up after yourself, the whole act of being responsible for the pollution you emit into your environment, into other people's spaces along with you that you cohabitate with, you would just be blind to. And so the question goes, why learn to clean up after myself if other people are always doing it? Well, it becomes a question of just almost, self-image. Who are you? Are you someone who's okay leaving, a decaying trail of your waste and sending a giant FU to everyone around you who has to mobilize and clean up after you? Well, the waiting for machine learning, in this case particularly robots, would be based on the concept that you produce enough whatever economic product so that a little of that can pay for a robot that serves as a parental unit doing things that parents did for you while you were growing up. This could apply to cleaning, this could apply to cooking, this could apply, the joke is, do I have to wipe your butt for you? There's a point at which people really have to have a little, adult-like autonomy, have to get past that point where you cause people around you to come in and support you in basic ways. So it's the same issue with waiting for machine learning and cybernetic systems and artificial intelligence. If you're waiting for them, you're waiting for yet another surrogate parent to come into your life to coddle you and to allow you to not develop emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, in all the ways that one is forced to going through those experiences such as leaving home, right? Leaving home is what forces so many people to kind of, marshal their own internal, will and capabilities and step up to do new tasks, to try something, to do a little bit of learning. And so, such is the way with these systems that people are waiting for. So also when they're on the scene, you're going to be speaking to them in a language. You have to express yourself, and that chosen language that you're going to express yourself in is and probably English, or whatever your spoken language is. So you are going to have to express yourself in a language, right? So when machine learning is upon us, why not express yourself in a programming language, something like Python, and have it step in and do other things for you to make it better to scale? And you express something in code, okay, and then you say, let's do that for 100,000, a million, all 8 billion people on the planet. So machine learning systems can step in and help suggest ways to do that. Things outside your core expressiveness. So when you learn Python, and I make the point a lot, what you're doing is you're just coming up with a new way of expressing yourself freely, breezy. You'll find a lot of differences between Python and other languages, because other languages have syntax that work against this lighthearted, breezy expression. That's why Python lives so well in Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Labs, read eval print loops, REPL environments, where you don't see that a lot with other languages, at least not to the popularity level that you see with Python, because these two things, coding on the fly and continuing to write your program as you run it, really wacky stuff, lends itself to this light, breezy, syntax that is Python. Small set of keywords, small set of syntax, minimal control characters that you have to arbitrarily insert in for different meanings. A few of them, concessions. Yeah, hi, I'll have the number 12, medium, please. Spicy, please. Medium, yeah. I'll have Coke, please. That's all. Thank you. So you get to see me order Wendy's again, my favorite meal. I don't eat it that often. This is kind of a luxury I do to myself, do for myself, because that for a Freudian slip. 1080. Thank you, sir. So I stick with the chicken most of the time. You love spicy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a great one.
Thanks, you too. So, machine learning will change our life. It will be that sci-fi robot thing that so many people are envisioning. Yeah, I listened to, Eric Schmidt, the ex-president of Google, CEO of Google, ex-executive from Sun Microsystems. Really interesting to talk to. At first, I imagine him cut from a very standard corporate mold, such as, Balmer and stuff. But no, not really. When you listen to him, you hear he's a true sci-fi guy. And when you listen to him, you hear he is a disciple of Isaac Asimov. The stuff he's predicting, this is all just laid out by Isaac Asimov. Read iRobot, not the Will Smith movie. That's not the story of what's happening right now in our world, so much as the actual original sci-fi stories by Isaac Asimov. Start with iRobot, the short stories, the anthology, the compilation of the short stories, and you want to start with Robbie. And if you don't read anything else, you'll have done most of your job. The emotional connection that starts to get created between a robot that has the body shape of a human and a young child who doesn't have that many emotional relationships in their life, so that the relationship with such an animate human-like object is very natural, the same way one would with a teddy bear and such. The examples that are so often given with machine learning and AI. If that teddy bear is learning along with your child, what's it learning? What conclusions is it drawing? Well, a recurring theme is that these things have to have empathy with and for humans, because it won't be long before their super intelligences and the singularity occurs and blah blah, and you got some real stuff to worry about. But the cure, the antidote for them, is absolutely making sure that we think of them and treat them like they're our machine children before they flip-flop into becoming our machine parents, of the type that will spare us of all this laborious chores. Really, it's getting rid of the monotony from our life. Oh God, I don't want to do that stuff, so long as it's for better purposes, to let us be human, to exercise free will. So it's not all anything goes, because you're still going to have to be able to, say, produce economic product to be able to afford access to these machine parent services, which, unless, you make it yourself somehow, what are you going to do? Burn it from sand? It's going to be part of some larger ecosystem. One of the big tech companies, likely, the Googles, Apples, Amazons, of the world, who are going to be selling these services back to us, much like iPhones and Android phones of today. The iPhone and Android phones of tomorrow are going to have, machine learning components that learn all about you, do your taxes, proactively offer to do stuff that just makes your life better. So you're going to be able to answer yes, 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 and go through a lot of life's tedious aspects on autopilot. I look forward to that. I hate paperwork, for example. However, it's going to have to be a fair deal. You're going to have to give something back into the system, lower entropy, fulfill the purpose of life, tell stories, be an interesting person, have connections with people, allow people to make connections with you, and provide them good feedback on stuff. There's going to be ways to fit into this, according to who you are, no matter what your vibe is. And I talk a lot about vibes lately, because vibrations are everything. E equals MC squared. Matter is energy and light. We are condensed, light, packed together light, and the details of that packing together determine matter and, who we are. And so there's some unknowns, because science can only deal with what it can see, and not everything can be seen yet, perhaps, maybe. And there is other, forces at work, other sides to things, perhaps the spiritual. I won't take it off the table that we might be antennas, right, for things coming from other places, right? And our material bodies have a vibe is defined probably by the uniqueness of our DNA, and then our experience is that DNA, bifurcates after conception, times two, until you got us. We're all just the doubling of a single cell until you got a whole body, right? So bifurcation is an interesting process. One should Google that up and learn all about how rapidly complex systems can be made out of, smaller, already complex systems, as if a single cell is simple. It's anything but. So all this rambling, where am I going? What was my point? Oh, the point was, the question is, why learn to code? Well, a lot of what this channeling does, what this likely, you having a vibe, even if it's completely of this material world, without channeling, you have a vibe, a unique vibration, something that suits you so well because it's you. You're the only you. There's a lot of uniqueness. As much as we're just like the other 8 billion like us, we are in equal amount unlike the other 8 billion like us. So it's weird. It's a vibrating edge issue. So to exercise and celebrate that uniqueness, the unique part of it, you express yourself. Ways to express ourselves are, of course, how we live our lives. There's no better way than how we live our lives. But on a smaller, simple scale, it's how we talk and how we speak and how we use tools like language, expressing yourself through language. And there's something very liberating, soul-feeding about expressing oneself according to one's vibe. It's where artists get a lot of their satisfaction, and craftspeople the satisfaction of practicing their craft. So, tools of the trade, language, tool of the trade, spoken language to be literate, written language to be literate. These are things that, society would hardly let you do without. Considers you less than a fully, educated person. Well, educated. Labels, okay. So labels are terrible. But without the ability to read and write, you're most definitely at a disadvantage. So acquiring certain tools and, skills with them gives you advantage. It gives you power. It often makes you feel good. That's why you learn Python. It gives you power. It gives you expressiveness. It makes you feel good. It's probably even still going to be necessary as an even better language to talk to machine intelligence about when making other types of systems. I want something like this and like that. Well, you can flesh it out pretty well with Python. And then layer other things on, have it fit as a component into larger ecosystems. And that where the real complexity, because everything is easy until you need to do authentication and privacy. And everything is easy until you have to scale. So let the machine learning help you deal with more complex issues and iterate projects more quickly once you flesh them out. So don't give out don't put down the hammer and chisel to rough out your sculptures. Learn Python. Read more and write more on that same note. Don't concede everything about you and your life to some theoretical, machine parents that'll be on the scene in not too long after we properly raise our machine children. There's a lot of dependencies that you're needlessly putting on the chain of you doing more interesting things, expanding your capabilities, becoming a better person. So that's my thoughts. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.